Welcome back to Cosmic Brilliance, folks, where you will hear rarely revealed firsthand knowledge that, when given time to integrate, provides the fuel to help you ignite the wisdom and truth of your own creator capacity and being. Now, when you do this from personal experience, and from Amir's experience and other creators I've talked to, your world generally changes for the better because you will gain and claim a more direct effect on the holographic reality we live in and have a greater capacity to ensure both you and this world remains on a positive timeline. So this show is titled a subject that, as far as I know, has never been really revealed except in societies and higher levels and secret levels. And it's called How Are Souls Created and What Sustains and Diminishes the Spark of Source of all that is and its connection in your body. That seems like a very important topic, wouldn't you agree? So I am very excited, as you can see, to have our return to honored guest, Dr. Amir Jahangiri, who holds 7 degrees and is a prime creator of this reality as a black void dragon in a human body. For first-time listeners, a gentle reminder that we do not repeat previously discussed education or definition of terms. So you will find it very useful to go to cosmicbrilliance.com and his website, which we will give you in a minute, cosmicbrilliance.com, and you will see several playlists of the guests that I have chosen to work with. And their shows will be in order. And you go to the start, the first show, and then you continue through at your own pace, okay? That way you're not lost and you can keep up, other than coming in at the end being totally frustrated because you're overwhelmed, okay? So all of this is recorded so you can take your time, and it's common to often listen to bits and pieces many times. So I wanted to make that clear. And Amir's website is...
Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing really, really well. Love you very much. You can find me at wizardofwivenhoe.co.uk. It will be an honor to interact with you and be of service to you.
And Amir has many, many healing shows, which shows that are worth watching. And we'll be talking about that because that has to do with his wisdom and what he's capable of related to this show. So, welcome back, Amir. And thank you so much for your precious time and your infinite source-filled wealth of wisdom.
I'm honored. I just want to say there is no me. There's only the beloved source of all things. I just have the honor of being a clear vessel without ego. And so I'm really privileged to be in your presence and in the presence of our wonderful audience. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm very grateful.
Aw, me too. Okay, folks. So we have been incorporating at the start of our shows a brief current unique updates on Earth and humanity's status that, again, I don't find revealed in other program outlets. This allows you, the purpose of this is to get off the anxious news, and these updates allow you a less anxious, more mature overview so that you can commit a greater soul awareness without fear. Because we both are here to inform and normalize powerful, forgotten truths, revealing the knowing of who you are and why you chose, yes, chose, to be here on Earth at this challenging transitional time. And my goal is that you stand up proud after hearing this information and do a little celebration dance and recommit to honoring who you are and going forth as best you can. So, Amir, you have said we are on a positive timeline in our last update, and there will be no more global resets, which for folks, you're going to have to listen to previous shows to explain that. Are we shifting? Would you say we're shifting from one holographic reality to another without having to, quote, die? Or please explain the importance of the present dynamic positive timeline, which you emphasized is dynamic and is still dependent on our collective consciousness. Would you elaborate on that, please?
Absolutely. So there are many timelines running in parallel. Some get pruned, so they're stopped. New ones are generated. So this is a dynamic type of flow. And so certain events occur in all of them by design. So all of those that would be within the boundaries of the universal matrix would include cyclical extinction events once every 10 to 12,000 years. Now, the purpose is selecting the humans that qualify or exceed expectation and use them for the next batch, then adding different types of challenge, tweaking the design a little bit. So the whole process of engineering and evolving humanity has been going on for a very long time, about 350 million years. And so with that, we've gone through around 30,000 extinction events. Now, it turns out that humanity is ready. So all the parameters of the original design, the objectives have been met, and humanity has exceeded expectation. So the project is complete, and so therefore this event that would be occurring in every single timeline, that would be another extinction, that is no longer necessary. So the experiment is ready to roll offline. Humanity will be coming in, born into much more capable vessels. So these genetic codes that are dormant in these versions, for example, you lose an arm, you cannot regrow it, but the potential is definitely there. Rapid regeneration, turning, for example, having the ability to consciously adapt to living in the ocean, becoming aquatic, evolving gills. The design is all there. Again, we've inherited so much wisdom. So this is slowly going to be coming online in the next centuries to come. Now, talking about this being collective, yes and no. So for the benefit of our esteemed audience, we are creators. And so we are pushing out the fabric of reality. Although there is a baseline hologram, we absolutely have the ability to suppress this and erect the castle, the temple of our own reality. And so this is our birthright. So you may be amongst a massive crowd who are all going through a really tough time, and yet you're going by your day like it's the best day ever. You see, this is possible. And so we may also have the freedom to do this in support and assistance to others. Maybe like a little, commando operation, dip into a very hostile timeline and elevate and remind a fellow soul, a soul family member or a friend of the reality of their truth, that they can also create this holographic projection that is quote unquote reality. So it's all about levels of awareness or the domain of your consciousness. And so many of our wonderful audience will be experiencing levity, improvement, greater ease. And then sometimes, like for example, the past week now, we're recording this on the 28th of September 2025. Most noteworthy, energetic event in the recent past few days would be the new moon equinox, autumn equinox, which also corresponds with a solar eclipse. So lots of energies coming together, and that one seems to be cleaning up bloodline karma. So again, many powerful and aware beings may have experienced this temporary heaviness. So what it is they are doing, they're cleaning up the heaviness for their ancestors. That has a massive ripple effect, cleaning up stuff, and humans in that bloodline that are yet unborn will never have to suffer any of those conditions. So this is also occurring. It's not always a selfish endeavor. Sometimes we take on a bit of the burden for others, as long as it doesn't diminish us. We're going to be speaking about that diminishment of the spark as we continue. So all in all, things are looking really positive. Humanity is ready to go. Now, where are we going from here? I just want to emphasize this. Humanity is the cream of the crop, the most precious gem in the cosmos. It's not about information. It's not about technology either. These are all toys. Now, many beings that are of different origin, different species, they have advanced toys and technology. Strip them of that and put them in a ring with a human. Oh, guess who's going to win? The mighty human. And so it's a matter of sheer potential, untamed potential. And this is going to be coming into actualization. It's going to manifest. We're going to take our place in the cosmos as teachers, as guides, as healers, as leaders. All this hardship we have endured is going to be not just a benefit to us, but to many, many, many others.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And it's very, I know people are looking, if you're still watching the old news and you're looking at the news and you're looking at the world, you think everything's going this way.
Yeah.
It's only because it's coming to the surface to be seen and healed, just like you have to do with disease. Whereas where we kept the symptoms down for so long, we just were treating symptoms and playing the game. Now we're getting to the source of the issues. Everyone's been notified by source directly, and we're moving ahead in hopefully a more mature fashion. Unfortunately, we have amazing protective warriors like Amir who make sure and reinforce that under source. It's his rule.
Absolutely.
So thank you, Amir. Okay, so this is so fun. Let's address a topic that, as far as I know, has also rarely, if ever, been publicly revealed, except to say we are made of stardust. So how are souls first created and are souls continually created? And you can take your time in as long as you want, because I know this is literally a class in a way.
So the most fundamental definition that would apply to souls would be ordered consciousness, identity, and memory. We can look at it as ordered energy or patterns. And so the origin of all of this is the source of all things. And so to different degrees of intensity and complexity, everything has this signature of source. And so existence is a fractal. There's no beginning, no end. Doesn't matter at what scale you observe it, you observe the same pattern, ever evolving, ever dynamic, ever growing. And so we have to really shed the idea of location, size, time, space. These are limitations of the first, let's say, 5 dimensions. 3 dimensions of time and 3 dimensions of space and 2 dimensions of time. But then going above that, we see all of these things all existing at the same time, at the same, let's say, place. And so that's the way we should look at this. Everything that comes into existence will have the signature of source, and then depending on its journey, it may become more complex, incorporate greater details relating to its identity, relating to its journey of evolution. And so, is this process continuous? Yes, it's think of it as a continuous loop or a stream or a cycle where source emanates outwards, and then part of the earlier emanations return back. And so the idea, the purpose of creation is source self-disclosing, becoming aware of itself, its infinite beauty and grace, and expression of this beauty and grace in infinite forms. So, of course, considering that there is no beginning or end, or for that matter, there is no time or sequence, this, let's say, with a breath, we have an exhalation, energy goes out, experiences, and then we breathe back in, and this returns, improving the level of awareness of source upon itself. So it is continuous. We've got new souls, baby souls coming in. They go on this journey of evolution of consciousness, return home, and we return to that infinite ocean of source. Sometimes there are fluctuations and this energy splashes out. Those are the souls. Now, it really doesn't matter if this is a very old soul, again, with the illusion of time that has evolved through many different challenges, gaining the mantle of prime creator. And then from that aspect, another one of these little baby fractals opens up. It's all the same thing. There's unity in creation. And so then from that prime creator of a local universe, we may have emanations, just like we have above, we have the same below. So there is sort of a, let's say, hierarchy, although it's all occurring at the same time. But looking at it from the point of view of humanity, we can say that there is a sequence or there is a hierarchy of levels of awareness, uh, complexity, and magnitude of identity and memories. So that essence of source, which is everywhere, is a soul. Now, does a rock have a soul? Yes. Does the night sky have a soul? Yes. A planet? Yes. The entire universe, the air we breathe? Yes. But it comes in different levels of intensity. So a person that has been afflicted by trauma, that flame may get weaker. And then we have an bodhisattva, someone that has achieved Christ consciousness. This connection becomes powerful, radiant. So it first of all comes in a matter of amplitude. How strong is that fire? And then accumulation of memory or identity. How old is this soul? How many universes has it traversed? Or has it reached the level of becoming one of the primordials once again? Which is paradoxically shedding of all the identity. It's a beautiful dance of waves, waves going in all directions. And so that's the infinite fractal. The essence of source exists everywhere within everything. And sometimes a fresh little droplet comes from source to begin that ever continual journey of evolution and experience.
That's beautifully expansive said. And folks, many of you may have listened to the previous show on our Amir playlist where he channels the expansive, unconditional love of Source for, boy, an hour, I think. So it fits what you're talking about here. Okay, so is the soul, it's made up of source and something called source codes, which I had you define. But is that the key part? But is it also elements, lightning, combination of different things? Um, so there's, and then out of that, how does a personality enter into that? Like a specific soul, is that created through lifetimes? I'm looking at kind of on the recipe of the whole thing.
So here the subtleties in the definitions become important. Source is everything everywhere, everything that can possibly exist, does exist, and that is the all. Um, Now, in order to bring this whole wonderful show, this whole, um, let's say, sequence of plays and experiences into being, we have immediately after source a division into two poles, an active and passive principle. And so the best and most elegant and most complete and logical definition I've ever come across is in the I Ching, the Chinese method of divination and manifestation. Very powerful wisdom. And so everything is a combination of the active and the passive. And so um, from there we have the void, which is the passive principle, and then we have source, different from the beloved source of all sources. So in active mode, active and passive, masculine, feminine, positive, negative, yin and yang. Now the combination of these in the form of trigrams will create elemental substances. So for example, heaven or soul would be light, well, let's not call it light. It would be active, active, active.
Hmm.
Yin, yin, yin. Or then the element of earth would be yang, yang, yang. Passive, passive, passive. And so we've got different elements. For example, air, active, active, passive. But then in the initial setup, we have 8 elements being trigrams. So 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. And so combinations of active and passive, we have 8 of them. So we've got heaven, all active. We've got lake, we've got air, we've got water, we've got fire, we've got mountain, and we have thunder. And finally, all passive, so all 3 open lines, we have earth. So these come underneath the realm of primordial light. When we reach the astral realm, dimension 5, 4, and lower realms, which is physicality, 3 of them are dropped: lake, mountain, and thunder. So then we have the traditional understanding of elements: earth, water, fire, air, and heaven or spirit. So everything really is a combination of this active and passive principle. The 2 pillars shown in Kabbalah also. So these are the 2 fundamental ingredients that go into everything. From, if we want to say what is light, light would be fire upon fire. What is darkness? Darkness is water upon water. What is elevated, enhanced, and evolved water? That would be lake. And so what is elevated earth? That would be mountain. So it's a whole range of wisdom that would describe this very, very powerfully. What is the Vajra? That ultimate truth that comes in, that is higher dimensional. That would be thunder. So
Would
identity comes in. Please go ahead.
would this be an apt analogy or metaphor? Is the out breath action and the in breath passive, or does that
That would apply quite nicely. That would apply quite nicely.
Okay.
But then again, that applies to the birth and death of an entire universe. One coming in, one going out. Nothing is wasted. We've got allocated potential for manifestation, and one prime creator is given the opportunity to express their divinity in all sorts of life forms, planets and galaxies, and then the cycle ends and it begins again. Maybe another prime creator would take over that space of potentiality. Yes, that process of breathing, it's an elegant and appropriate way to look at this.
Okay. All right. Continue. I kind of cut you off with that question. Is there anything you want to, before I ask the next question? With the elements and you were working down, like how
So
much?
these are the mechanisms of creating things. They are after that level of, let's say, active and passive. Then we have the 8 elements, which are the stuff of creation. And so combinations of these energies could come into being, and with each with a different identity or energy. We've got then 64 hexagrams, which are used to describe consciousness. Now, everything is made of these. So this collection of matter, which has all of the elements in it, is a vessel for then that pure form of connection to source, that source consciousness to embody, and it becomes the instrument of expression, of actuation and interaction, and accumulation of wisdom and knowledge and memory. Now, within that spark of the divine, there may be different, let's say, levels of retaining memory. That spark has the ability to maintain memory in its own, but then we have something that could be called the oversoul or the multi-universal aspect. Some souls get so advanced that they have a presence in many universes, and so something akin to a crystalline structure in a network can be used to accumulate all this knowledge, again within a field. And so it's all one thing, but then there may be different ways of interacting with it, modifying it, sometimes trying to replicate it. There are many species that have tried to replicate that divine spark. It doesn't work very well. Imagine a machine that is created that has identity, it has the ability to process information, and it could very well become multi-timeline, multi-dimensional. There seems to be a cutoff. And the great difference between the spark of the divine with something that is then artificially manufactured by another being connected to source itself is the capacity to evolve. That spark of the divine is ever evolving. It is infinite complexity. You plant it somewhere, and depending on the environment, it will grow into brilliant new things that have the ability to go all the way up that ladder of illusory separation back to source, while that which is created from a different location does not have the ability to do so. So a little bit going into this vast area. Please do jump in whenever you wish.
So, well, a couple thoughts come. So, I've shared with people that, and these are all simple ways of kind of expressing it, and I want your feedback on this, that we are all shards or aspects of source exploring and evolving for maximum growth in a way. And what I'm curious about, having to do with what we're talking about, is the formation of personality. And I know that has to do with life experience. But what I'm getting is, I don't know how this all works, but the personality of the soul spark or divine spark that comes forward seems to be colored by the elements involved and the combination of elements like you were describing. Like if someone has a fiery personality, or is that part of the whole personality thing?
Absolutely. When we really go to a position of unity, and this is absolutely possible, a rather quick process, step by step, shedding that illusion that we are separate, that there is such a thing as identity or ego. We can go all the way back up and reconnect to source. So essentially, we really are one thing. This is true. Now, the result of that is infinite compassion. You see another human acting a fool, you feel compassion because you see that as you. And this is true. But then these aspects of source, these soul shards, are like drivers, each in a different machine. One is a mechanical loader, one is a lorry, one is something different. And so each vehicle is capable of doing different things. It's all beautiful. It's all contributing to the construction of reality and the experience of source of itself. But the vehicle itself makes an enormous difference. Now, even in a very small scale, looking at the human body, if the body is healthy, well rested, well nourished, what you can achieve with that spark of the divine is completely different to what you can do compared to when you are in pain, when you are exhausted, when you are traumatized. You see, so a good vessel is incredibly important. And so this is one of the reasons that all love begins with self-love. It's our sacred duty to honor and safeguard that divine spark by looking after the vessel that is containing it, or rather, which is contained within that field of energy.
Okay, so that takes us right into expanding what builds the energy of this divine spark and what diminishes it. Like what expands it out there, so therefore we're more powerful, efficient, and running more. How do I say this? Owning, claiming, and running more source through astral, physical, and body, right?
So it does involve energetic codes of the holographic reality and of the body. So the soul shard, having its own codes, interacts with the body, and the body interacts with the soul. And this is ongoing. So, for example, sitting in solitude and focusing consciousness upon source, that invokes or evokes the law of liberty. What you reach out to reaches back to you. And so the remembrance of our true identity and our true nature, which is source, becomes stronger and stronger and stronger, resulting in greater liberation from any illusion of limitation, which brings into our consciousness greater awareness of many, many more domains. Ultimately, the being, including the body, the physical body, starts vibrating at such a high frequency where the rainbow body is achieved. So ascension happens, and the body also ascends. Nothing is left behind. The opposite is also true. So, from, let's say, a regular average human that has never been exposed to any form of spirituality or religion, if this being is exposed to violations of universal law, causing harm or being exposed to harm, this has the potential to shrink the intensity of that divine spark until it just goes down, 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 and sometimes becomes completely dormant. Still, with the potential to be reignited, there is nothing that cannot be reignited with love and compassion. And if there is a will for that, it absolutely will happen. Again, referring to the law of liberty. This does occur with those born into quote unquote evil, beings that have been born into the family heritage of harm. Let's call them demons. Many of them capitulate to the side of light, and they reach the source, and source gives them that spark, or rather intensifies that spark that already is there, because even a piece of rock has that divine essence in it. So like a fire that can be given breath, given oxygen, given fuel, it can be intensified or it can be reduced, ultimately snuffed out. The potential is always there, but it does depend on what that soul shard does, what the consciousness of the body does, and what the environment does. So, for example, people that have been exposed to extreme hardship, for example, people in war, going in refugee camps, experiencing starvation and uncertainty, that does diminish the spark, generally speaking. Now, given awareness, even in these extreme conditions, saints may arise. So, we're not a victim of the environment, but most certainly, depending on how much awareness we have and how we conduct ourselves, it does have a major role to play. Now, all of it is divine experience. It is one of the human weaknesses to try and judge. There is no judgment, it is all divine. And so perhaps that hardship is adding to the complexity and depth and variety of source experiencing itself. And this, in fact, does ring to be true. So that whole thing of absolute good, absolute evil, that it doesn't exist. We're all a mishmash of different elements, combinations of factors. It's a very complex picture. And so we must maintain that type of evaluation which is based on compassion, remembering that which applies to every single situation, that we are all one thing. And so somebody else acting badly or experiencing something that is unpleasant and undesirable, they are in fact us.
And that is why I imagine that many souls like to experience the full range of both polarities, because through that comes the tendency to get stuck or addicted, but at the same time, through that comes incredible knowledge, incredible vast experience, and hopefully resourcefulness and ultimate compassion.
That is so true. That is so true. So many, and I say this with great reverence and complete respect to everyone. Many just focus on the aspect of light. And so they may be capable of transmuting that which comes out of, again, quote unquote, darkness. But not all violation occurs from darkness. Sometimes violation occurs in the realm of light. And so you cannot transmute light with light. Imbalance is imbalance.
Wait,
And
wait,
so therefore,
whoa, okay, that's really important. Okay, explain that.
sure, you see, we were talking about having compassion, and this conclusively excludes racism and prejudice, meaning that you see that everything and everyone has a shard of the divine, big or small, whatever the combination of elements going in, that really doesn't change the fact that it is an expression of the divine. And you see yourself in another body, in another set of circumstances. Compassion comes in. Now, everything is based on balance. Even the way these elements are defined by yin and yang, they are complementary towards each other. One has two active principles and one passive. The other one is the complete opposite. So they balance each other out. Everything is about balance. Now, imbalance leads to extremism, to selfishness, and then to violation. So we see this described very frequently from the element of, let's say, darkness or void, that a certain being is out of balance and they cause enormous suffering. But that is not the entire picture. Even in our modern religions, Abrahamic traditions, we know of fallen angels. These are beings of light that have caused massive violations, and goodness knows they have caused an equal amount of imbalance and suffering. Because once you're in a high position, given the mantle of care and responsibility, if you do not act correctly, it has a trickle effect all the way down. And so, a being born into light that has become imbalanced, it still requires balancing, and that is in the use of alchemy or transmutation. So, you cannot transmute light with light. You cannot fight fire with gasoline. You see, you need something of the opposite polarity, the complementary, let's say, setup of elements to bring it back to that sacred neutral point. And so, as a seeker of wisdom, you cannot hop along using just one leg. That is foolish. You cannot cover one eye and see with one. That is incomplete. Or cover one ear. You see, this combination of dual sensors, you see, it comes in even in our bodies. There's a reason for it. As above, so below. And so becoming aware of all the spectrum, all the elements, and their magnificent combinations, neither one is good or bad. They are all divine. Focusing just on light and lovey-dovey, all that stuff, that excludes you from becoming maximally effective. So it doesn't matter if it's an angel misbehaving or a demon. Both should be on the receiving side of divine balance. So if you cannot deal with fallen angels and you can only deal with demons, you are incomplete. If you can only deal with angels and not deal with demons, again, you are incomplete. You see, so you have to have access to all of the elements, all of the combinations, all forms of primordial consciousness. So I hope that does explain. It got a little bit convoluted here.
No. This is very, 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 very important, both in my own personal life and whatever, because, for instance, we just did 4 shows on the knowledge around hell, and I would have the same reaction 3 years ago. And I talk to people and they go, oh no, I don't want a downer like that. I don't want to listen to that, right? And I said, there is more knowledge in those shows than you would be surprised at, and way beyond the hell thing. But there's a tendency, and I was one of those in my own way, kind of, where to heal, I just have to add more love and light. And as you're talking, because I think this is where people get tricked up. Besides the polarity, just programmed that there's only 2 options rather than all the blending in between, is an example. When I look at it really quickly with healing, yes, I would heal by adding more love, light, breath, good food, earthing, things like that. But perhaps this is a way of, I don't know if you'd call it dark or void or whatever, but there is no, as far as I know, there's not long-lasting healing unless you're willing to do self-mining of the uncomfortable things, the things you've had judgment of. So if you're in all light and love, you'd have judgment of those things rather than starting to build the capacity to laugh at yourself about them, and et cetera, et cetera. You know where I'm going with this, because
Yes.
I keep trying, like, okay, because we're sharing philosophy and these great viewpoints, but how is this applicable to where people are now in their waking up process and healing kind of thing?
Um, Sometimes we are not aware of all the details that are very important, but that aspect of us that is source is most certainly aware. And so we have the ability to call to source to initiate rebalancing. One of the mechanisms that I use in my healing work is the divine fire. And so this fire has all the energies from black all the way to white, right? Active and passive, yin and yang, and everything in between, and all the infinite number of complex combinations. Now, the idea is to be in balance, yet that neutral point where you're not pulled by each one of these extremes. They neutralize each other, and in that state of balance and sacred neutrality, the fastest evolution happens. And so that is also the definition of health,
Okay,
where the body is in balance.
okay, that point I want you to reiterate and keep going. In that point of dynamic balance, the fastest evolution happens. That's key. So
That
for
is key.
so for people who want to evolve faster, because you don't have to, faster isn't better, but faster, um, that's what they need to do, basically. This is important.
Of
So
course, that makes perfect sense. So if you have a certain amount of time and energy in one body during that incarnation, you want to maximize its effect. You don't want to use a shovel when you have access to a mechanical loader, right? And if you can basically do a one shot, one kill like a sniper, you don't want to extend 100,000 soldiers and they go into battle and lose their life. You see, it's about working smart.
efficiency.
So, efficiency. And so that efficiency occurs when you are not impeded by friction. And so once you get pulled too far towards each one of these extreme poles, you reach a state of maximum friction. Things get locked up because you start seeing yourself as perfect, and then the need for any kind of change goes away. Narcissism, spiritual narcissism. This happens with those that claim to be all light. It also happens with those that claim to be pure darkness. They're both idiots. You
Spiritual
see,
elitism.
elitism, and see, this is an STD, a spiritually transmitted disease, and they pass it on to their students too, and they're all infected with this narcissism of thinking that they are better than everybody. Now this down the line leads into atrocities. Now again, a dictatorship that wants to force everybody to hail Satan and eat babies. This is terrible. But equally, a religious and theocratic dictatorship who wants to force everybody into heaven, that is equally terrible. I mean, look at the past 1,000 years, all these crusades, both of them saying we're fighting for God, and all of them are idiots. Right? So, what I'm trying to say is
God's on
that
my
we
side.
wish to,
No, God's on my side.
God's on my side, and meanwhile, there are other beings, namely the Anunnaki, pulling the strings because they're family bloodlines and they're two cousins fighting with each other, sacrificing humans
Yes,
down here.
yes.
So, looking at the structure of the human being, this is a reflection of all there is, as above, so below. So, these divine patterns, they exist in all scales. We want our energy to be in a point of complete flow. Now, it turns out that is the vibration of the heart. Consciousness. It's about consciousness, not about love or lust or reproduction. No, no, no. That love and loving behavior is the byproduct of consciousness. You're aware of the consciousness of every cell in the body, every organ, the body of others, every blade of grass, every stream, mountain, tree, every galaxy. That's where you have zero pull. And this is the center of the energy structure of the body, 3 centers above, 3 centers below. And so that is where you want to exist. Anything pulling you left or right out of that is harmful. It doesn't really matter where it's coming from or what it calls itself. You have to achieve that point of becoming a superconductor to source energy. No resistance. So polarity and going to the extremes causes resistance.
So, in a simplistic way, to remind ourselves, judgment is resistance.
Absolutely.
Not
Absolutely.
not
Not
evaluate,
about.
not evaluation or discernment, but judgment is resistant.
That is correct. You see, evaluation means I use my senses, my consciousness, the infinite consciousness, and I observe this, this, and this. That is evaluation. And then, based on correct information, you rightfully make correct decisions. That's beautiful, of course. Judgment means I kind of think that this, and this applies, and so therefore this, and this, you've already locked yourself into a concluded outcome. And so you don't have all the information. So those things that you think apply are your perception. There's always more to a story. Nobody is completely good or evil. They all have their motivations. There are reasons behind things that happens. And so therefore it is necessary to maintain social cohesion, to have these kinds of laws and judgment. But as we elevate ourselves, moving into the domain of consciousness and spirituality, you got to be really careful. You got to maintain an open mind, an open heart, have compassion, and have good manners. If something doesn't agree with you, call to source and ask for enlightenment for both parties. May I be also enlightened and purified. And so I think that would be a more compassionate way.
That's very good. Because again, that's something they can bring in home and remind themselves if they have any racial or issues or programming that way, to just realize that the that is a programmed response that will create friction, and friction creates limitation.
That's absolutely true. I mean, if we can't deal with another human because their hair color or skin color is different, how on earth are we going to deal with another race of advanced aliens? We're going to lose our minds.
Mm-hmm.
You see, that's limitation. Well, if you look at it from the point of the heart, which is consciousness, you will see the light of their soul.
Mm.
Whether it's an alien with many appendages and five heads or whatever, or whether it's an orb of light, again, looking at something at a superficial level, that is short sighted. And so humans acting out of that level of consciousness are truly dangerous. They're either good or bad, they see you as good or evil, they either love you foolishly or hate you foolishly, and they can flip sides immediately. You can't even count on them hating you. Halfway through, something happens and they change their mind. So, racism is foolish, whether it applies to humanity or other species.
And because until people themselves change the education and stop going to the traditional stuff for the most part, um, they haven't been educated at all, which is again the purpose of our shows and our commitments, is into the things of very that are valuable. Not saying limitation is not valuable, because I always joke and say to my friends, oh, you're unlimited, just who came here to experience the illusion of limitation, and now the time is the time to wake up after 400,000 years. And that's hard to do, right? You got to like slap yourself awake and reevaluate everything that's limiting. And the most easy thing, too, that I remind my friends is I said, well, you chose, because you hear it all the time. These are all memes of program. They said, you chose that you wouldn't believe anything that you couldn't see. And I said, and I chose that I believe in the possibility of everything existing unless you prove to me unless you can prove to me it doesn't exist. And love is an example of that. So to me, all these memes and conditioning are actually illogical and insane. They're illogical. They're all programs. So that's why people, I think, really, and we appreciate mantras of like, what are mantras I can focus on? You know, when you say, well, call forth the source or a source, that's of course very powerful. Um, be specific on what source. I always say that's very important. Um,
Yes.
but also to have your own tools of remembrance operations that work for you, like resetting, remantras, things that are going to snap you out of it, like this. Because choice, I know habitual comes from patterns in the brain and all, but choice can be done instantaneously. It can be done instantaneously. You can choose to not change, you can choose to change.
Well, you see, again, let's look at the human species with compassion. Let's
Yes.
follow what we've set out as suitable guidelines. Now, humanity has uh, lost connection to source in their awareness, although that is what they are. And so imagine a person that has been born without the ability to hear. And now through technology, they can put cochlear implants in, which will bypass the faulty biological mechanism. Examples of babies hearing their mother's voice for the first time,
Oh, yeah.
or an adult person hearing the voice of their partner saying, I love you. Without exception, they all burst into tears.
They're literally reborn.
They're reborn. And so that is what we are looking for. Once you connect to source, it's like one of your senses that has been dormant all your life comes back online. And once that comes in, it cannot be undone. That is the great balancer. That is the great transmuter and equalizer. You see, we can't be too harsh with people because they're at such an unfair disadvantage. We must have compassion. Now, the best possible thing we can do is help them hear those few initial words, I love you. And so that is the mechanism of the mantras. The Vajrayana Buddhist technology is not spirit, it's not religion, it's not even spirituality, it is technology. Looking at the technology of consciousness, the holographic reality, the matrix, the structure of the human nervous system, and the energetic architecture of the universe. Mantras repeated over and over break you free to a point where you hear those first words from Source and it sets you on fire. You start crying until the tear ducts dry. And then you found your way home. And so that bypasses programming in the nervous system, bloodline and karmic conditions and curses, injuries, trauma, all of that stuff. We are really connecting back home. Remember, oh my goodness, this is who I am. That limitation of being blind, being deaf, being dumb, having no sensation. Once that goes away, that is the all cure. But it does require a little bit of a lot of work. The system is 105,000 mantras. Have you got the energy and patience to work on yourself for 4 months? If so, hey, you're going to be free. No two ways about it.
And of course, folks, Amir offers this as one of his many services. And also another thing, Amir, you'll see a lot in his shows, his healing shows. You probably have at least 50 of them now. Um, is that, and I want to get back a little bit. I know there's I mean, you clarified, I didn't know this. You clarified there's no location for source. However, you did bring up heart. And it's interesting how people will automatically put their hand on their heart. And we know that the number one cause of dying in the United States is heart disease. We know there's many reasons for this, broken hearts, etc., all of that stuff. However, there is, I think, a initial, whether it's hooked to the chakra or whatever, this feels like it's an initial place for the source spark. Is that true at all?
That is true. Um, in fact, the heart is the first organ that develops in the fetal stage. So first we've got a beating heart, and then from there the spinal column and the brain start growing. Very much so. That's the first thing that develops in the fetal stage. And that is the conclusive moment of death, when the heart stops, when the heart dies, because the brain goes on a little bit further on, even 2-3 days after the, let's say, clinical death. Many cells continue living, hair and nails grow, and so on. So it's all about that mechanism of the circulation of prana. So the lungs and the heart, that which animates the body, it is a flow. It is not an accumulation. You don't have a big rucksack full of prana. No. It's your capacity to channel this through you. Now, ideally, a healthy, empowered human being channels the prana from the infinite soul, from source, through the body, and anchors it into the root system, into the earth. There's also this flow of life force from the earth that we pull in from our root system, guide through the vessel, and push into the divine realm. A bi-directional flow of life. Prana, chi, life force, many names, all the same thing. Now, when that gets restricted, it does have definite and evident effects on the health of the body. And once that is reopened, the body has the energy to act on the technology and wisdom that it has and balance things out. Heal organs. Cells have that extra energy to divide and to repair damage. It's not just about the physical, or let's say the electrochemical parts, the mitochondria in the cell. There's a lot more going on. It's not just the chemical or electrical interaction of energy and matter. This thing of prana is involved in it. Without that, the body is just a corpse.
Beautiful. And so would you still say this is the seat of the soul here, or this is is that a fair phrase still? That's a common phrase?
Looking at the functionality of the heart, it is about consciousness. The soul is an aspect of consciousness. The next center is discernment. Next one, the jade gate, is access to information. Third eye is manifestation. And crown is the connection between the physical and non-physical. Lower centers underneath the heart go into the animal nature. So looking at the function of each one of these intervals of energy, the heart, which is consciousness, seems to be most appropriate to connect with the soul. So I would say yes.
Because a lot of people, when they pray or this, or when we greet people, there's like often galactic greetings. You're like this, or like this,
Yes.
you know, it seems to be very, it's also, if you wanted to use, I don't really like to, but the cross thing, it's right where the cross meets too, is the center. So,
Or if you're coming from somewhere in Asia, you may, meaning I'm not going to speak evil on you or manifest evil upon you.
right.
You're good.
Or the Maori that are third eye to third eye, all the different, yeah. Okay, so let's, I want to share a little bit of your own personal experience in healing that is directly related to this, in terms of, you now have, he's a full-time healer. He gave up a lot of things to do healing and be available for people full-time. And I have benefited from countless times, and so have my clients. So I can personally vet him based on my soul knowledge. And I've also watched each one. I tend to watch things because I can tell if someone's lying through their body and all that. So I'm going to ask you things, no names, no breaking of, but let's let's talk about this heart thing and the location of the heart and why it's important to be a completely balanced person with the energies. Because several things as you were talking came up to me. Most is the lack of energy for people. when they come in, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I'm this. So there is no doubt that energy is key and is king, right? Number one. So it's all about, so what Amir does, and of course I'll have you, talk about this. And it's not just about promoting him. It's literally that he's fast and efficient. And it's like you get so much cleared up fast. And he also does something like an expansion of the heart. It's like he's putting, like when your car engine goes, and you have to have it like a jump, what is a jump? What's the word? You have to have it jumped. It's kind of in a simplistic way, is what he does. I really have a deep desire that I would like as many people that I know, not just my friends and clients, know what it's like to be graced, which I am graced with a lot more energy. Now, there are agreements where I understand, at least I heard from Michael Newton's work, which is exceptional, over 10,000 hypnosis sessions, is some souls choose to only bring a certain amount of energy into any aspect in a reincarnation. So, of course, that would have a huge different effect. And I think some underestimate what they'll need for Earth.
Yeah.
These are all ideas that people will relate to, because I'm looking at what are their major issues, right? Heart, energy, that kind of thing. And so I want you to talk about, first of all, how about this? We know that very advanced beings are attracted to you because you're very avant-garde, advanced, and it takes a little education for them to get up, to come to you. And you're here working with very advanced beings that have been, uh, still have scars. One of the things he does is remove a lot of stuff from all your lives that are impinging. See, it all comes down to energy. This isn't ego. This isn't like who you were in other lives and stuff. This is like what is preventing you from being at 100% effective, and then so that you can go on and be a co-creator and thus shift the world with your consciousness. Okay. And I don't think there's hardly anyone that doesn't want that. So, do you want to talk a little bit about how many people? Okay, so out of all these advanced people who come to you that don't even realize who they are, how many of them have been at 100% efficiency, energy when they first walk in?
Uh, Out of probably now getting close to 1,000 clients in the past, let's say, recent history, only one was at perfect strength, uh, the mother of dragons.
Yes. And we put that on a show without showing her privately. Yes.
Right. And so this wonderful being came in fully clear, fully active, and again at a level of humility and such grace, such softness. That's the only exception. And the ones with major injuries to the heart, probably 90% of the people I see.
Bingo.
Yeah,
Which is why
90%.
heart disease, along with the food and the pollutions, which is
Yeah,
huge, and broken hearts
yeah.
and all of that kind of thing, is the major issue. So people, this stuff isn't. What I'm trying to do is, I know you're all intelligent, and I know those listening have an awareness and a drive to be here, but I think the challenge that I hear from other people is I don't know how to personally connect this to my life. Whereas for Amir and me, it's all connected immediately. So I'm trying to like distill, and we're pulling out like how this is actually a real thing, applies to the health of your body, because you all know people's biggest fear is that their body or their mind's going to fade, right? And how did
So,
you come up with that? So
if I may kindly request, I'll just give a general picture of my limited understanding of this infinitely complex structure that is the human. So, a really good model would be the tree of life, right?
mhm.
So, the physical structure of the body is the trunk. Above, we've got the soul star. Their higher center is going to primordial light all the way to source, but then I see these as branches connecting you to every aspect of the infinite soul. Under the feet, we've got the earth star, and then the root structure that fills the planet. So we're connected to the earth grids. Um, Without exception, well, with one exception, the dragon mother, who is clear, that's unseen, without exception, other than this wonderful being, everybody has something connected to the upper dimensions, most heavily concentrated under dimension 9. Um,
When you say
Dimension,
something connected, you mean interfering with the energy?
yes, yes, blockages in the branches, maybe 80% of the branches are covered in heavy, dense energy like concrete. So it restricts that flow of information or flow of prana. They can't pull in information from the soul. And sometimes there are other mechanisms in the soul star and soul bridge above the crown that completely cut the flow. So instead of having a torrent of prana coming in, you've got drop by drop by drop. They're on life support. And then they wonder, why am I not vibrant? Why don't I have energy? What's going on here?
Why can't I sleep? Why
Why
can't
can't I sleep? Now, then we come to the crown, and that's a whole bonanza of violations and types of interference from and the ones that are most severely inflicted are super soldiers.
Oh yeah.
They have more tech than normal. So in addition to astral parasites, sentient AI, they have different types of implants inside the structure of the cranium, also different types of helmets covering third eye, crown, and jade gate. The third eye is usually the least affected. Many people down here very quickly learn how to manifest, whether they like to believe it or not. We are powerful projectors of reality. But then the jade gate that gives you access to the wisdom of the soul can be blocked. This prevents people from remembering their identity, who they are. A lot of injuries with the throat, which is expression of truth and discernment. Whenever someone is unjustly punished for expressing the truth and hurting the fragile ego of those in power, it leaves a little crack or a little open portal to a past event. So somebody who's been burned as a witch or beheaded because they said something that the king didn't like, these kinds of events that leaves an injury. Now the thing is, although we move from one body to the next through incarnations, if these injuries are not healed, we bring them forward, and then there we go, and then we get to the heart.
This is what people don't understand.
They don't
Are you
notice.
clearing out just what they came with this life? One of the things that makes you so exceptional is that you're clearing out because it's carried through the light body and astral body from
Absolutely.
reincarnation to reincarnation, folks. So this is a thorough car wash. Go ahead. I just wanted to make
And so then we get to the part where the vast majority of humanity is affected. Our culture and our brainwashing, the programs that we are inflicted by, tell us that we are not worthy, that there is some merit and value to self sacrifice. And so usually we are injured in the most extreme ways by the people we love the most. And so usually injuries to the
guys of
heart come in the,
love and the
yeah,
guys of love and light. Yeah.
yeah. And so this happens in the form of betrayal, loss, heartbreak, or people seeing our loving nature as weakness and abusing it. So that causes enormous imbalance in the energy of the heart. Now, talking about that shard of the divine, that flame being diminished, if you are being drained left and right, back and forward in time by past heartbreaks and that kind of stuff, it's going to put a hard ceiling on how far you can develop, no matter how much energy you put in. It's like a leaky container. And so pulling back that energy into the here and now and making sure there's no drainage in energy, suddenly people break through that barrier that seemed to be unbreakable. And then there's
No more leaky valves, literally.
no more leaky valves.
Literally.
Yeah. So nothing is draining your energy,
Mhm.
especially from an important center like the heart. Now, when the heart is weak, the rest of the energy centers, they have no color, almost like the muscle that wouldn't give blood and you get blue fingernails and so on. That circulation isn't just the muscle. The heart chakra, when that is being drained, there's not enough energy to activate the other chakras. It limits your psychic abilities, your discernment, your peace of mind, and your access to soul memories. And then we go down. The next favorite one for the freaking pirates to mess with is the solar plexus. Comes with injury in the form of harsh words, people causing pain with their words. The sacral, creative energy, sensuality. This is again heavily harvested in the human population. The tanden, many people completely forget about the fact that we have a center which is dedicated to healing. Duh, perfect health should be our birthright. All these diseases that happen shouldn't happen if we have a powerful and active tanden or lower dantian. And so the next one, which is probably the messiest, 85% of the human population are harvested from the root, taking away the kundalini energy. Um, then there are injuries to the structure of the feet, knees, shins, ankles, and feet, cutting you off from the earth. So if there was a possibility to pull healing energy from the planet, if the feet are not connected, you can't ground or receive healing. So these are some of the more common things that many clients do seem to share. Now, every now and again, you see injuries caused by enchanted weapons. A Viking sword with runes engraved on it. It doesn't just kill the body, it injures the soul shard itself. Or a spear, or an axe, or an arrow with magic. Most exotic one was a gentleman that had been blown up by a cannonball during the Crusades. The cannonball was fired by the Ottoman army. Every single cannonball had little inscriptions on magic on it. That was a doozy.
Oh my God. You got to bring that dustbuster.
Dust.
Whoa. See, this is really important because people are coming in and go, my energy, these are the things, and you can get this improved, folks. Now, I am going to say, you say everything is repairable unless you're super powerful. It's not necessarily if you are not taking responsibility, if, like many of us, we've been sugar addicts or all this, but if you're eating crap, doing stuff, all of that, it's going to be very hard for the body to rid the toxins enough to do the work unless you have a very powerful counterbalance spiritual. I want to just say that because it's still about taking responsibility. But now we are sharing with you that there is a very, and you've never heard me say this, I've recommended a few people, but I've never said this other than about Amir. If you want the most efficient that goes through your lifetime, even a couple sessions, he can access a lot of things. To me, it's like your willingness to be in a car that can't run. Okay. So this doesn't mean you can't do it yourself. It's just a lot of work, and he works really fast. I mean, you could do a lot of your car washes in 20 minutes, 30 minutes and stuff like that. So anyway, I just wanted to share that because I don't think people have enough knowledge and the healing to know all these things that are affecting them. They just will get overwhelmed and feel that there's not anything they can do about it, or maybe I'll just drink warm water and eat better. But it's also one of the most important points that you brought up, Amir, is that this damage, I did not know this, folks, is carried in the, now is the light body the same as the astral body or different?
Let's talk about the soul shard. Now, that part which is incarnating as a sovereign consciousness, although it is not all that the soul has many aspects. And so some of them are in one, let's say, stream of time, lifetime after lifetime. But there are more of these, so there are more time streams than one. Then there are other dimensions, other planets. So you may have an aspect amongst the Arcturians. You may have a Pleiadian aspect. These are also coming from that aspect of the soul. Let's call it the oversoul or the multi universal aspect. Now, depending on how evolved you are, you may have a presence in many universes. And so then the soul gets more complex. It incorporates more information, the wisdom of each incarnation and the journey. But looking at one, let's say, soul shard in a body, like what we are using right now, there is a sequence of lifetimes past and there are a sequence of lifetimes forward. It does sometimes get a more complex where one of these aspects goes dark side and starts harvesting other shards of the soul. So you may have a drainage from another aspect that is pulling energy from you or maybe trying to dump karma on you. Very rare, very rare. Maybe 1/10%. So it's not a big thing, but it does happen from time to time.
Common in super soldiers are people who
Yes, absolutely. Oh, yes,
do
super.
that,
Of course,
but no, but
because
not so much the norm, people.
that is true because the super soldiers they go through these all these portals. There is a presence of one soul shard or maybe clones of the same body. Again, the soul agrees to
Crazy.
play. It gets really so.
It
So
just gets
to be
crazy.
perfectly honest, the most difficult type of work is with the super soldiers. Again, you add all the trauma with the experiences they've had, all these implants in the crown, upper centers, open portals, different aspects of the same soul. One again upholding a vow of secrecy and privacy, the protocol and whatnot. So it's never straightforward. So that is a more complex situation. However, um, there is major improvement with even cleansing this soul shard here.
Yeah. Because they're basically hired to be guardians and assassins and everything in between. So it's an example, folks, because, you know, everything's ultimately about maximum experience, growth, and integration. And eventually, at least my bias is it's ideal to me if your higher self is integrated with the other aspects of yourself. And I have met quite a few beings, granted super soldiers. I don't just work with super soldiers, by the way, but who literally their higher self wouldn't even talk to the lower one because it had gotten so dark and so contaminated. So I mean, that's like a whole nother level, right? That your average therapist doesn't even know about. So that requires growing up, integrating, moving all of that. But I think we get a fair amount of super soldiers listening to this show, but mostly people that don't have to deal with that. So, but to know that they have an opportunity, and I know for some it's expensive, but what he does is worth $5,000. I mean, your doctors
I
can't.
don't charge that much.
No, I know. I'm just saying for an hour. I mean, I I didn't have insurance, so I would pay a doctor to consult with him just to see what they knew, and it cost me $600 an hour. Okay, like that was 30 years ago. That's what I do to actually get wisdom. He's totally reasonable for what he does, because you're going to be vacuumed and cleared out and clean, and plus you so many different other things he can do. So I wasn't meaning on spending this time to promote you, but it has so much to do with what we're talking about and this shard and how people can get their energy back and what has happened to them that they don't even know. So,
Um, well, again, this it can be done independently. We are infinitely creative uh, if you have the dedication towards the self. Again, look into the system of the Kuji-Kiri or the Kuji-In. It's something that is available out there. I haven't invented this. I can share with you my understanding of it after 10 years of practice. I would save you a lot of time. But if there's somebody that has no resources, it doesn't mean that you are stuck. You can do this on your own. If you want to save time and energy, I can be of service to you. But I just basically gave everybody the keys to the kingdom. Knowledge is free, but car washes are not.
nor should they be.
Right.
I mean, he gave up all his other jobs so he could be available to the souls on this planet that had been recycled with the same wounds. Okay, so he does in one session what you wouldn't even get in therapy in 7 years. Okay, so that's all I'd say about it. So why don't you share your contact information again with them? Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much. Um, You can find everything about me, how to book sessions at wizardofwivenhoe.co.uk. I've got a YouTube channel. If you would be so kind, join, subscribe. I've got probably about 120, 130 example healing sessions and interviews. So you can see the process. Sometimes from the beginning of the session, 45 minutes through, you can see the color of the skin changes. You've got bursts of energy caught on camera. This is the magnificent you. You see, the healing is always done by the self. Sometimes something is standing in the way, preventing this from working. So that's what I offer. As a soul, I'm an aspect of the Vajra-Kilaya. It is the purifying energy of the void, the black dragon of the void. So purification is what my soul has always done. Again, in this small aspect, I humbly offer this service, and it would be an honor to be of service.
And I can also share with you, friends, that, and I'm guilty of this sometimes, we all are. Uh, I have personally vetted him extensively, and he does practice what he preaches, which is not as common as you would like to think. He's always looking on improving, learning, and he has a very profound and daily spiritual practice. Now, what people might want to know is the different types of things that you're offering. Do you want to share that?
Um, my background is engineering, electronics, and computer science, so I'm efficient. I don't like wasting the time and resources of people. Mostly, one session does it, and I would recommend people to just do the rest on their own. So, this whole business of evolution and spirituality, I see it with two steps. One is the healing or clearing, so you have enough energy to stand on your own 2 feet in sovereignty. And then there is showing home, the direction of the true north, which is source. Now, that does take effort and energy and dedication, but that is upon each one of us. It is our sacred duty towards the self. So if somebody comes and claims, I'm going to carry you up the mountain, that is false. It's impossible. So once you are healthy enough to start pulling in that life force that is yours, that connection to source that is yours, then you need a practice to start healing the subtleties that are linked to you from the infinite aspects of you, past time, future time, but also what connects to the body, genetic conditions in the bloodlines from the mother and father side. So one session of healing, and then a spiritual practice that would get you stronger and keep you evolving. That would be the Kuji-Kiri, the technology of the mantra, the mudra, and the mandala. Um, Very simple to learn, difficult to complete.
Mm. Which I'm just going to say this because we're not speaking in name. My client, who is the woman who had perfect energy that we're not going to talk about, she completed it. She just completed it. It took her 8 months or whatever, but she just completed it, and she already had great energy. So
Wow,
yeah.
that's amazing
So,
news.
and someone else, another one of my clients is close to that. So anyway, is there any last thing you would like to share around the soul shard, who we really
Related to
are? Mm-hmm.
it's all beautiful. Even once the healing has occurred and you have integrated the wisdom, even looking back at painful events and trauma, it is beautiful. You see the wisdom in it. um, just know that you have all that you need. Wonderful human, mighty human. We are aspects of source, and there's nothing that we cannot do if you want it badly enough and you dedicate yourself, meaning that once you give your word, that divine vow to self, nothing is impossible.
Mm. Thank you for being such a way shower, and just so wonderful and helpful on the planet at this time, at the time of us breaking out of the forgetfulness. And by the way, folks, I don't want you to think, oh, everything's your fault that you forgot. It was part of the challenge of this last plan and in a couple other shows, but I will reiterate it here quickly. Um, Amir taught that our memory comes from the ley lines, also called dragon lines, the ley lines of the earth, where is her veins, nervous system, consciousness. And it's also why it's important walking barefoot now and then. And that many, many, many volunteers, both out of body, not consciously aware, in body, consciously aware, were here as um, to rebalance the ley lines. And I believe, Amir, what's the update on that? And that means that once it's rebalanced, not only is Earth healthier, but it means you get your memories back more easily. So, what's the update on that one?
It's at a state of completion, actually. So
Woo!
this is amazing. The infrastructure is in place, the mending is complete, and now we have the gentle awakening, the whole thing coming online. Now this is really good. It's not just about uploading soul memories. Earth is such a vast consciousness, such a vast soul. She does assist us in remembering. So in the near future, children coming in, new humans coming in, will upload soul memories when they hit puberty, maybe a little earlier. That's a big, big, big
Oh,
advantage. No more amnesia. So that's going to change the earth. You remember the past lives. Oh my goodness, I've been here before. I've got so much wisdom. It makes the job a lot easier. But the other advantage is earth has a natural defense mechanism. So many of those beings, souls, conscious entities, or artificial entities interacting with humanity in a harmful way, these are going to be purged by Earth's defense. So we're going to be living in a healthy home, nourished by a powerful and healthy mother, Mother Gaia. See, this is the thing that people need to know. There's so much hope and
yes,
beauty awaiting the humankind.
but they're
It's
not
not
going to
all
hear
what
that
you see.
on regular news or even
No.
in channels. Okay, these guys know for sure they're out there creating it, doing it, and all of that.
Yeah.
So This is what I mean. Once you know enough, once you get through the shock of expanded consciousness a little bit, and you know enough, you're going to have a lot of joy. You're not going to have a lot of fear. However, it is important to say this, that on Earth, time is different. And so, if it takes 200 years or 300 years for the transition into the golden age, um, that in terms of cosmic timing is a blink of an eye. So, do you want to?
True. But see, that's looking at um the critical number of awakened or advanced humans. When it comes to an individual, this can happen within 2 or 3 weeks of consolidated effort, meaning your bubble of reality is different. The body starts healing, your appetite, your mood, your sleep, your awareness, it all improves what you manifest, conditions of your livelihood, how you get that stream of abundance and nourishment from the cosmos. This can happen really quickly. I mean, you don't need to wait for everybody else. That's none of your business. It's not your problem. Your sacred duty is the self, and so this can happen really rapidly. I'm getting goosebumps all over
Yes,
as I'm tuning into the collective.
yes,
Mighty human, this happens really fast. You have
yes,
no idea how powerful you are. And then people, among the esteemed clients, initially they're not used to it. What does it look like? Why can't I see? And then I just gently say, hey, go into a warm bathtub and get a nice glass of wine and listen to some chill music and just shut the monkey brain down. 24 hours, 48 hours later, they come in, oh my God, what the actual hell is going on? Is this real? And say, yes, this is real. I pull out some cards they don't see. They can read the back of the card. It's all coming online. So
yes.
please believe in you. Don't believe me, believe you.
But isn't it necessary? This may be just my thing around oaths or vows or that it helps. I'm trying not to be so bossy. It it helps to have an intent that you're either bored or too tired and hopefully not too sick to continue on playing any level of not owning your true self. Because if you are, that's fine too. But I think it does. In my case, my life changed when I took a conscious vow that I am a creator and act like a creator and vote like a sovereign being and creator, and my word counts and changes the hologram, so be it.
This is too formal. It's
I
so
know.
much.
I know that's
There's
me.
there's it's just imagine you find your favorite thing in the world. It has zero negative side effects. For me, it's cheesecake, and so
Cheesecake.
one of my mantras is there's no such thing as too much cheesecake. Although I have it probably 3 times a year, because otherwise I'm going to be really large. Example: a very very well known, an incredibly powerful super soldier. And so we were trying to fit, different mantras, and he was having none of it. And so finally we found that one really advanced set of mantras, the void mantras, and the gentleman started going on non-stop, big smile, started dancing, made a techno version of the mantra. He repeated 5,000 of them in one day,
Whoa.
changing the whole thing. You know why? Because the soul is recognizing,
It has to
God,
align with you. It has to be your style, and it also has to include joy and recognition. I think it's not something that has to be hard. It has to be
no,
something that's really heartfelt.
you love doing it.
Yeah.
It's like a little dose of the ultimate joy every time you say one of these. I mean, there are many ways to reach this liberation, but the mantras, their technology, it is scientifically valid. The scientific method, independence, repeatability, validity, and so on. You can, if I do it, it works. If you do it, it works. 500 years in the future, it works. Wherever you do it, it works. You see, it's not something that I do and nobody can do. That's nonsense. It is tried and tested.
So, as a closure, at this time, what's the one mantra? It would have to probably be in English for people or whatever. I don't know. I have everyone listens
Sure.
across.
Yes,
What's
yes.
the one mantra that you would consider an overarching one? Because if we give people too many, it's too confusing. Just one mantra that might help them accelerate.
Well, it's a short mantra, easy to remember, with a very profound meaning. Humi, hum, Brahm, hum. We are one, we are divine. And so repeating this is going to just gently pull you up through the stages of amnesia, helping you to shed mentality of separation, that illusion of separation and division. These become powerful with accumulation. So humi hum, Brahm hum. Just repeat, repeat, repeat. It will give you memories of who you are. Once you remember who you are, nothing can stand in your way. Because this whole game down here on earth, we're playing a game of dum-dum. Closing our eyes and tying our hands and rolling around in the dirt. You'll remember who you are. Humi hum, Brahm hum.
Is that Hume? Hume, Brahm, Is it that?
Humi, Humee, Humi, hum, Hum, Brahm, Brahm, and hum, Humi, hum, Brahm, hum.
Sounds like a big hug. Thank you so, so, so much. And
It's my honor.
oh my God. And I'm going to share, I hope everybody enjoyed this and thank you. And I'm going to share, it's not mine. I heard it somewhere, but I have a memory of it, which fits.